So, some things can outlive usefulness, So, yeah, there's a time when wokeness really was a must, it was inevitable. But then I feel it needs to also be, it needs to evolve to where the society is right now. And I feel we're not evolving well. Mm-hmm. Why? Because it's now becoming more toxic. My friend Bobby here is a good man. But when you start saying white supremacy, and then you look at us, me and him, and obviously you think ill of him, but mm-hmm. not all the white people are bad. So yeah. So we're not saying wokeness. I'm not saying wokeness is per se the worst thing that could happen, but I'm more thinking, okay, we can't really regulate how we approach it. So wokeness might be good, but the approach, Yeah. Because we have old problems, but we need to have solutions which are adjusted to the time, and I think we are not doing so well about some of those things. Right. So basically, there's some other controversial topic under wokeness, something like about feminism. So how feminism started, it was inevitable. It was long overdue. It had to happen. But then along the way, the practicality of it in real life is getting off, because people are going away from what feminism should actually be. It's now becoming toxic. Yes, so we have these well-defined, waves of emancipation, waves of fighting for your own rights, and they are well documented, and academically, if you approach them in theory, they are flawless. But then when you approach them, when you examine them in how they are being practiced, they are being malpracticed, and mm-hmm. that's something we feel like we need to talk about, such cases of wokeness, being abused.
Yeah, and I think to add a little bit of my perspective to that, I look at the foundational ideas of wokeness to be solid, because on a foundational level, woke people are concerned with addressing issues of social injustice. And I think where we agree with people who consider themselves to be woke is that there are injustices that have taken place historically that has led to certain groups being in a position where they have to fight a lot harder to overcome, the systems that are in place that might keep them down. But I think where wokeness went wrong is that it started to see everybody in the oppressed class as being a victim, and that you could not escape that oppression unless you tore down the current systems that are in place. And so in order to do that, you have to demonize. It's not enough to acknowledge that racism exists. You have to talk about something called white supremacy culture, and that you're racist by virtue of the fact that you're white.
Which is not fair, really.
Right, mm-hmm. Right. And then another example would be talking about the oppression of women. We talk about feminism, we talk about women's rights. The whole modern feminist kind of philosophy which is kind of the woke kind of philosophy or agenda, is that it's not enough to talk about an environment where women can have equal opportunities. But it's rather what we have to do is we have to confront the patriarchy, that this system that has been built for men is oppressing women and keeping women from rising up to kind of the same positions of influence and power as men. And so we have to tear down that system. The system itself is bad. And you even get some extremes to the point where all men are misogynists just by virtue of the fact that they're men. It starts out being something legitimate. Let's address some of these injustice issues. But then it turns into something instead of the entire system is bad. You're a racist by virtue of the fact that you're white, or you're a misogynist by virtue of the fact that you're a man. And that's kind of where I think woke culture has gone wrong. And there are people who are watching this who will object, and they will say, well, no, that's not what wokeness is about. That's not what we say. And while it might not be officially part of your doctrine or your ideology or your philosophy, that might not be how you describe it on paper. It is unfortunately often the way that it gets practiced. It's turned into something bad, but it's almost turned into something cult-like, where if you even challenge their agendas, you're racist, you're misogynistic, you're homophobic, you're whatever label they want to throw on you, where they shut down dialogue by, just calling you a name. And so this is also kind of a concern and a problem that I have, that oftentimes people who subscribe to these perspectives don't want dialogue, they don't want discussion. The moment that they're challenged, they respond just by calling you a name. You're transphobic, you're homophobic, you're racist, you're sexist, misogynistic, whatever term they want to throw out at you.